Here now, Ben Shapiro, editor-in-chief of DailyWire.com. Ben, good to see you, as always. Thanks for being on the show tonight. Your reaction, you said this is a ridiculous stunt. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, it's a ridiculous stunt in the sense that if Congress wants to change the law right now to allow illegal immigrant detainees to stay with their children, they could theoretically do that. The Democrats are not moving to do that. Here is the real issue. The issue is that under American law, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has said this. When illegal immigrants enter the country with illegal immigrant children, those children are not allowed to be kept in custody longer than 20 days. They must be referred out of the system to some sort of other guardian figure. Well, what that means is that these kids are going to be, by law, separated from their parents when their legal immigrant parents cross the border. Democrats' response to this has been to say that Trump is the one who is forcibly separating these kids from their parents. But in reality, what Democrats mean by that is that what they would like to see is a mass attempt by the Trump administration not to actually enforce immigration law at all. So their answer is, instead of just releasing these kids and keeping the parents, let's release everybody. Let's release the kids. Let's release the parents. Let's release everybody. When in reality, if you actually want to enforce immigration law and you want to keep the kids with their parents, you theoretically could actually make a legal fix for that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point, because if you do go through the congressional process and you try to change this, you're going to sort of run headlong into the entire issue of immigration reform in this country and say, well, why are we doing this, right? How is this working? Why are we separating these children? Well, we're separating the children because they're coming across. In some cases, they don't know whether or not the children are actually the children of the parents or whether or not they're being trafficked into the country. There are a lot of concerns about these families. In many cases, they just don't know, and they don't have paperwork, and in some cases, they can't communicate that properly. So in some situations, these kids are in danger, and it's the worst possible thing to see them, you know, in these holding centers. But, you know, they, in some ways, I mean, do you believe it's true that they brought it on themselves?
Well, I mean, I don't think that the kids brought it on themselves, obviously,
no, I mean,
but I think that when the parents come across the border knowing what the status of the law is,
yeah.
I mean, if the status of the law is what the status of the law is, then I'm not sure why that changes based on the President of the United States and his administration enforcing the law. Again, I would like to see these kids stay with the parents, but the easiest way to do that is to change the law to allow the kids to stay with the parents, or for the parents not to come illegally in the first place. Democrats like Merkley are insisting the best way to fix the law is to just not enforce it at all. Just anyone who comes across the border with a kid, we let go straight into society. This is why Merkley's in favor of sanctuary cities. This is why he's been in favor of catch and release policies that allow illegal immigrant parents to just be released and then they never show up for the court date. If you're going to enforce immigration law, under the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruling, you must take the kids away from the parents. That's not the fault of a bunch of conservatives. That's the fault of a bunch of people on the left who sit on the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals and are beloved by Democrats the world over.
Yeah, we've been talking about, you know, a number of the legal issues that came up over the weekend with the president, with the, you know, ability to pardon yourself, all of that, whether it's unconstitutional, the Mueller investigation overall. And, you know, sort of lost in that little shuffle was one tweet from the president saying, oh, it's day 500 of my presidency. You know, and that really could have been, you know, sort of the marquee moment of the day. But, you know, because of all these other tweets, we're not necessarily talking about it. But I'm curious what you think on day 500. You know, how do you think he's doing?
I mean, he's governed more conservatively than I certainly could have imagined. He's the most conservative president of my lifetime through his first 500 days. So in terms of policy, I'm extraordinarily happy with President Trump. In terms of his rhetoric, I mean, you said what you said about the Twitter. I mean, the Twitter is what the Twitter is, and President Trump's rhetoric is what President Trump's rhetoric is. I think we have a lot of areas to be grateful for in terms of policy. I wish the president could keep his rhetorical habits a little bit more under control, and then we could all appreciate the winning.
And the Philadelphia Eagles apparently they decided not to go to the White House, and the president says, you know, well, they don't like my policy. What do you think about that?
Well, the president has a habit of saying to people, well, you can't quit, you're fired. So I'm not particularly shocked by the president's response to all of this. I've never been a fan of sports teams visiting the White House. It just seems like celebrity culture at its finest. I hate celebrity culture in general. I don't like Kim Kardashian at the White House. I don't like the Eagles at the White House. I don't like anybody who is famous for the sake of being famous at the White House. It seems to me that this is, again, the people's house where policy should be getting done, not a bunch of photo ops, whether it's Obama doing it or Bush doing it or President Trump doing it.
All right. Well, I'm just being told that Trump disinvited them, so maybe he's starting to feel the same way about celebrity culture at the White House. Ben, always good to see you. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thanks a lot.
No one's defending what she said. The president's pointing to the hypocrisy in the media, saying that the most horrible things about this president, and nobody addresses it. Where was Bob Iger's apology to the White House staff for Jamel Hill calling the president and anyone associated with him a white supremacist? For Joy Behar calling Christianity a mental illness? Where was the apology for Kathy Griffin going on a profane rant against the president on The View? And where was the apology from Bob Iger for ESPN hiring Keith Olbermann after his numerous expletive-laced tweets attacking the president as a Nazi and even expanding Olbermann's role after that attack against the president's family.
That was interesting tack from Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and the president decided to tweet about 12 hours after Roseanne blew up her career with the racial tweet that she put out. The show was canceled. And the president went out and said, oh, by the way, where's my apology from ABC?
Well, look who's here to help us sort it out. Diamond and Silk, live and in the flesh. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you all for having us.
And you're going to be cooking with friends a little bit later,
oh,
right?
Absolutely, yes.
Pudding.
Oh, yes.
Delicious.
So wait.
What's your reaction when you hear Sarah Huckabee Sanders say that?
Well, she's absolutely right. You know, the president has been really... They have assassinated his character, tried to the left, and there's no apology.
Right.
And then Roseanne tweets out something that it was derogatory, it was offensive. She apologized for it, and the left just loses their mind.
Yeah.
We don't like the hypocrisy. You know, no, we don't like words that's being used, okay? But those words are used from black people on us. I mean, black people call us monkeys, coons, Uncle Toms. They do it all the time. The left don't holler about that, but as soon as Roseanne, who happens to be a white woman, tweeted out, oh, you're a racist.
Yeah.
Well, see, racism is just not one-sided. Right. We got to look at all sides. Nobody should do it, and I don't care what color your skin is.
And the sad thing is that the person that's crying racism the most is the person that's the race baiter. That's the person that's putting out the racist comments and so forth to us. If you go to the Diamond and Silk Wall of Shame, you will see a lot of racist comments made towards two black females who love God, love this country, and love our president. And they're calling us all of these derogatory names, including monkey.
Well, I will just add this, too. Roseanne must have been watching you because you were on with Neil Cavuto yesterday. She tweeted at you guys, right?
Yes, she did. And you know what? I don't care.
She thanked you.
Yes, because I don't think she should be, I don't think anybody should care to assassinate her. She made a mistake.
That's right.
Okay, all right? She made a mistake. And this is a teachable moment. This is one thing that I like that Valerie Jarrett said. This is a teachable moment. Okay, let's teach.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to have to teach people, listen, you don't get to call other people names. Using the word monkey and identifying that to a black person, that is derogatory, that is wrong. Because maybe she just didn't know. Maybe some people don't know.
Yeah.
So now is the moment to teach and not defame and just beat her down.
That's right.
And I don't like that
And
part.
not to mention, look at all of the other shows that's on ABC that makes these derogatory racist remarks towards the President of the United States, towards his supporters. They're still on air every single day.
That's right.
You will find a show that
Certainly
does
a
that.
double standard. And,
That's right.
And many in the media, including a host at another channel, say this isn't just about Roseanne, it's not just about Trump, it's about the people that support President Trump. This is what Chris Hayes tweeted yesterday. He said, Roseanne's problem turned out to be that she far too authentically represented the actual worldview of a significant chunk of the Trump base. So somehow now that represents folks that support this.
That's a lie. You know, she claimed that she was making a joke, and it was a bad joke, okay? She's a comedian, okay. She apologized for it. But that's not the representation of the Trump base. We are loving, caring people. We're not racist. We love God. We love this country. So how dare him say that?
And
that's what we're talking about right there.
One tweet don't make you a racist, okay?
Right.
Then they want to talk about and say that she's done all of these different things and said all of these different things. If you look at the left-wing media TV right now, you will see a lot of racist remarks, a lot of race baiting going on. Once again, people are hypocritical when I look at the divisiveness that's going on from the left. They sit on these shows and they call our president a racist.
Or
and
a Nazi.
And call Diamond and Silk a Nazi. You know, we're not racist. Our president is not racist. He is a realist, and the only color he sees is green, and he wants everybody to have some of it. All
right, media is now attacking Melania. She hasn't been out in public since she had the surgery a few weeks ago on the 14th of May. This is one of the headlines for Time. Melania Trump tweets she's feeling great. She hasn't been seen publicly in weeks. CNN says Melania Trump hasn't appeared in public for 20 days. The Mercury News, missing Melania Trump. The First Lady tweets she's feeling great, but mystery remains. Your thoughts?
You know what? This is what the left-wing media do. They conspiracy. This is still
Conspiring,
conspiring,
yeah.
trying to just make up a narrative, and then keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Leave our first lady alone.
Yeah.
Leave our president alone.
It's no mystery. She had surgery.
She
so
had
here's what she
surgery.
tweeted out. I see the media is working overtime speculating where I am and what I'm doing. Rest assured, I'm here at the White House with my family, feeling great, working hard on behalf of children and the American people. And she also has her parents who live close by.
Wow.
Why is that hard to believe? Barron, by the way, plays soccer. Practices 4 times a week. I'm sure she wants to be a part of that. She's a hands-on parent. And on weekends, he's got 1 or 2 games. So people, she does do normal stuff.
She do normal stuff. It's not hard for us to believe it, but it's hard for the left to believe it. It's hard for the left to believe that we really have people now in that White House that's working for the American people, and I love it.
That's right.
And you know what's underappreciated? They have a soccer goal right outside these windows, right outside the Oval Office, which Barron better be accurate or it's going to cause a national stir because it's going to break